Our journey begins on the icy frozen planet, where we are searching for a harmonic seal to repair our spaceship. So, as our journey continues on, we move towards a marked coordinates on our map. We find this weird looking building, we go into this building, we extract stuff from this thingy. When we recover supplies, it turns out there's a harmonic seal right in here, which is pretty good. We then go through and loot this building and see what all we can find in here. There was just a few little things in here, not too much. And then we went around and we went and mined some things like ferrite and such. We will be needing this later to sell. This is money, so as you can see. We also spoke to this guy, and he is a starship dealer. He's selling a spaceship. Unfortunately, he wants 7 million units. That's not how much we have as of day one. We then spoke to some people. The first guy we said trade to. The second guy we said travel to. And the third guy, he spoke rather weirdly. We said, I'm not sure. Anyway, so we then went and did some more mining. This time it was carbon. We found a plethora of carbon and cobalt, as well as some more condensed carbon that'll be useful later on. Also, there's some salt down here apparently, some ferrite dust, all sorts of things. We then got this weird looking thing from the trade station nearby, and we took it for a ride, and then we found some more ferrite dust, so we went ahead and mined that stuff up. Then we hopped back in our little vehicle Mababber, and we went back to the trade station. And upon reaching the trade station, we then went and sold some of our stuff, such as the salt and the hydrogen and the sodium and everything else. And then we went to the spaceship and realized that we were still dead broke at only 1 million units. So we went back to the trade terminal, sold basically everything we had in our inventory, and still we were only at a whopping 1.6 million units, roughly. The next thing we did was went and mined some more ferrite. We decided we were just buying a ship. Forget repairing the main one. We're just going to buy one. It doesn't matter as long as you get a ship and get off the planet. You will get the next mission. So, as you can see here, we just went out and mined some ferrite. We are ferrite miners today. We eventually did find this ship for sale, so we exchanged our broken one plus $1 million for a new spaceship. So now we have a brand new spaceship. This one's called the Wings of the Horizon. We were in day 3 by the time we actually reached space. We received some coordinates, so we went ahead and went on to these coordinates. Upon reaching these coordinates, we were greeted by a planet. We enabled our target analysis mode, and we went looking for the signal. Upon reaching the signal, it was this weird damaged machine looking thing. It gave us a terrain manipulator thing. We installed this after, of course, getting ourselves some carbon nanotubes as well as some dihydrogen jelly crafted. We then went ahead and found some copper deposit nearby and went towards the copper deposit. We then went ahead and mined that copper. We did need some copper. I do believe we're working on making, first of all, we spoke to this thing. And then, of course, we finally got our carbon in our generator and our copper, and we made ourselves some chromatic materials. That would allow us to craft a base computer. We placed down our base computer, which did a thingy, and then we spoke to our base computer. Upon speaking to it, it told us to build a base, so that's what we did. We put down the floors, we put up the walls, we put on the ceilings. We did everything to build a base, and good timing too, because there was a storm. We then made a whole bunch of pure ferrite, which I have no idea where it went. We then activated the computer once again. It gave us a new building part of a construction terminal, gathered the materials we needed for that, built us a new construction terminal. Then we went into the terminal and we unlocked the teleport module. This would be very handy. Then we took a picture of our base and uploaded it, went around and gathered some resources, and then built ourselves a new base teleporter. The next thing that we would do is go after some buried technology, because it was telling us to learn the biofuel reactor. And I don't know, we went ahead and followed it instead of just changing the mission. We then spoke to this thingy again. It gave us some more language learnings. And then we went back to the construction thing, unlocked stuff, spoke to the computer, and it told us some more stuff, and it told us to head to the space station. So we hopped in our ship and we're finally heading to the space station. Upon arrival to the space station, it's a pretty interesting looking one. All space stations are different. We spoke to a whole bunch of people, and by that I mean a whole station worth of people, and we repeated the number 16 to some dude. He gave us some sort of message. We then spoke to more people. We were on day 5 now. So, we're back at the base. We took off from the base. We went to this weird orb looking thing. We spoke to this weird orb looking thing. Upon speaking to it, it gave us a blueprint for a hyperdrive. We then got to work on getting the hyperdrive installed in our spaceship. We realized we needed 4 microprocessors, so we went to a space station and we went to the galactic terminal and we bought ourselves 4 microprocessors. Upon installing the microprocessors, and we then warped to our base. And then we went and found ourselves some copper on day 6. We did need some copper in order to make something. We then went back to our base where we would refine this copper into chromatic material and get our hyperdrive installed. Upon installing the hyperdrive, it did go ahead and tell us some sort of thing about coordinates, so we went after the coordinates, and of course it was for antimatter. Upon arriving at the planet, we did use our target sweep mode to find this weird looking building, where we went inside and we removed some gunk off this weird eye looking thing, and we then took some gunk off this damaged machinery, and we were good to go. We then headed back towards some copper and mined some copper, made a warp cell, hopped in our spaceship, went back to space, opened up the galaxy map, and we warped to our next galaxy. Upon our next galaxy warp, the starship gave us some diagnostics and told us to go to a new place, so we went ahead and went there after, of course, visiting the space station first, speaking to anybody that we could, and then heading to the new fuel source for our spaceship. Upon reaching this destination, we also found this weird alien-looking thing. We spoke to it, and then we left the planet. And then we went to this place where we entered in some numbers, and that is now day 8. It did some sort of weird scan thing. We gave this dude 15 things, and he was super disappointed for some reason. We then went to space, and we identified ourselves to some random stranger who talked to us through our spaceship. We then talked to this weird stone-looking thing. We then went to this place because it told us to. Upon reaching this place, we then did the target analyze mode, and we found a crashed spaceship as well as another weird-looking orb where we did some things, and it spoke to us once again, and another toxin ball. Here it is. Advanced mining laser unlocked. So, now, more damaged machinery. Here's another spaceship. We went ahead and claimed it. We now have 2 spaceships, so this one's kind of junk. We did get it in the air, though, so we have a new spaceship. We received a message from someone by the name of Nada, who told us the code to their place, which was this giant orb in the sky, so we flew in there. We looked at our spaceships, which was 2 spaceships in one now, because I summoned my other one, and for some reason it'll let me. Here's Nada now. We spoke to Nada, so upon speaking to Nada, she told us to speak to Paulo. Upon speaking to Paulo, we then went to this other guy who was looking like a tree guy, and then there was like this fish looking person, and we spoke to them. We then went to the construction place and we unlocked some more stuff like this cylinder room, and then also we went to the space ship guy. We unlocked some stuff there, and we also checked out this multi-tool and went back to space. We then headed to another space station. Upon arrival at the space station, we bought ourselves 3 wiring looms so that we could install our new simple translator that we bought at the anomaly. We then left back to space, back to the anomaly, spoke to Nada, left the anomaly, talked to this dude here, weird looking guy, not much known about him yet, and then we mined some copper out. We went back to space, of course, then to another planet, then left that planet, and then went to another planet. Upon arrival to this planet, we were now in some sort of minor settlement that we had landed in. We spoke to some people here. We talked to the trader guy up here. We checked out this cool multi-tool. Well, unfortunately, we were too broke to buy. We collected our refiner because we were refining stuff for some reason. We spoke to our base computer. It told us some new data was available. We built ourselves a little vault-looking thingy here. It gave us another plan. This time it was solar panels, so we needed some solar mirrors. We went into the minor settlement. We were by, and boom, we went back to space. Once we went to space, it was telling us to go to a hollow terminus. This is where we spoke to Artemis for the first time in plain view. He told us that he needed our help because he was in trouble, so he gave us a signal booster plans, which we built, and then we, of course, went back to base through the use of our spaceship, placed down this signal booster, trying to get our coordinates, telling us we needed to do it a few more times. We were only at 33%. To the next location, exosuit upgrade chamber, in which we did use. Unfortunately not done yet. Triangulated our coordinates, headed back to the chamber, boom, new slot unlocked, on to the next place. Next location discovered, we landed, we boosted our signal, we collected our thingy-mabobber, and then we were on our way. We entered some code to this building. It told us the location of some sort of place. We then spoke to Artemis on our intercom again, headed to the hollow terminus once again to speak to him once again for some reason. We then unlocked this thing called Artemis's translator, and what it will do is allow us to talk to the aliens better. So we needed some materials for it, so we started working on that. Then we headed back to the anomaly, told Nada about it for some reason. She needed to know, though they don't have anything to do with you really. went back to his space station, spoke to a guy, bought some stuff, installed Artemis' translator, and now we're told we needed to speak to more people, so we kept talking to people in order to unlock our translator fully. And then told us we had to go talk to a specific alien for some weird reason. We spoke to him. Upon speaking to him, we were told to go to this stone thingy, so we went to this stone and we learned some more alien words for no reason, really. And then, after that, we got back in our spaceship and we flew back to space. After, of course, learning a word from this weird stone, and then we went back to space, we went to this weird new location. It told us to go to this new location to speak to more guys, because we're still trying to figure out how to translate stuff, because our translator needs calibrated or whatever. We then had to enable a mission, start the mission, head to the mission objective. Once we were at the mission, we went into this weird looking building here. We had to blow the door off with our blaster. And then upon reaching the insides of the building, we spoke to an eyeball thingy. It told us some stuff, and then we had to run from these sentinels. We ran through some caves. We ran down a mountain. We ran and ran and ran until we finally found this knowledge stone, where we spoke to it again, and then we handed in our mission, and that was that. We now were the proper rank. We went ahead and collected another mission because we weren't aware of this at the time. However, we were. So then we went to the new deployed navigation marker. For some reason, it was for this guy right here. We had to talk to him. He told us that he had no idea where Artemis was, and even where he wasn't even real. We told Artemis this. He was very, very upset, but then he told me about some guy named Apollo that we needed to speak to, who was his friend or something like that. We told Nada about it. She said, "Oh, I don't know, man." So then we went back to the Holo Terminus, and we inputted this Apollo's number, and we talked to Apollo for the first time, and he looked real cool, and yeah, so then when we talked to him, he said, "Let's work together to save Artemis." And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And then we hopped in our spaceship and we flew to space again. And then we used the galaxy map to teleport to another place where we went to another space station, spoke to a guy, and went back to our base using the galaxy teleporter. Upon reaching our base, we built ourselves a cylinder room with a door on it, as well as putting a teleporter inside of it, and maybe a couple other main things. This is the start to our main base. We also put a construction terminal in here. We then went back to the space station to go ahead and recruit somebody to be our overseer over our new settlement. So we hired our overseer. He's this weird eyeball looking alien dude. I went back to our base to speak with him at his new terminal. Upon speaking to him, he told us some things, and I do believe he gave us a plan for some glass. This is pretty cool. This basically make windows. So then we talked to him again, and he told us about more storage containers being able to unlock. We just go to an unknown building. Of course we didn't. We also hired a scientist because we built the scientist terminal. And today is day 17. He was happy to be our scientist, and then he told us to do some stuff. We went to space. Apollo called us, so we answered the call. We spoke to Apollo. He gave us a personal force field blueprint. We went to this weird-looking building where we spoke to this weird, infected-looking, eyeball-looking thing, and went back to space. And upon reaching space, we went to this coordinates here. It was the multi-tool upgrade guy at the space station. We spoke to him, went back to space. An unknown signal spoke to us and said that they will find us. And then Apollo called us, and he's like, "What's up, guys?" And we're like, some guy called us. He said, "Oh no, go to this place." So we went to this place, shot the door open once again, went to the eyeball, ran from the eyeballs because the eyeballs were after us, went to space. Apollo called once again, and he said, "Good luck." And then we went to the anomaly once again. Told Nada about it for some reason. Left the anomaly once again. Went back to the Laylene thingy-mabobber here. This was some sort of knowledge stone. We spoke to it. We then went to this new signal location called a Laylene source. Landed at the Laylene source. Looked around here for a bit and finally found that the thing we needed to talk to was underground the whole time for some weird reason. And then we went to this next place. There was another source. This one was a weird pyramid-looking thing, and we spoke to it for some weird reason. And then we followed this another red blip Laylene source. So we went back to this Laylene source. And this Laylene source was different. It was an actual portal. It required us to activate it and then enter it. This was the very first time we ever entered one of these portals. So upon going through the portal, it portaled us to another portal where some weird stuff started happening. It said 1616 Atlas Protocol, and then we were teleported shortly after to Atlas. Upon speaking to Atlas, he said, "Hello world," and then told us that he was a robot made by people or something like that. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know why he's important, but he is the whole game. So upon speaking to Atlas, we then were portaled out of there back to some random planet. where we were told to find our spaceship. Now, when we landed on this planet, a major storm was going on. It was a heat wave, so we just summoned our other junker ship that we had obtained. It wasn't much, but luckily we did decide to repair it earlier. So when we got in our spaceship, we basically questioned life and then took off for outer space. Took off for outer space, so went to a space station. And then we took a portal to one of our bases to get out of space because it was just too much. Then we went and we did some more stuff. We installed some more upgrades, and then we went to another space station, I do believe, after speaking to the scientist who asked us to remove his core. He was now dead, basically, except for we had to upload him somewhere. Then he'll be alive again. He'll be okay. Then we went to the anomaly, and Nada was here. We then also bought some more stuff like the Atlas passes in the back. Atlas passes are useful. They're for unlocking doors that normally can't be accessed without Atlas passes, as well as other objects such as crates and such. We then went to a space station. Upon going to the space station, we went to the portal where we warped to another base. And then we went to this signal source where Artemis's grave was found. This is a hologram grave of Artemis. My friend is dead. Artemis was dead the whole time is what we find out. So we go to the Holo Terminus where we speak with the Holo Terminus, and we cannot find the Artemis signal. We then meet this new signal of Null. Null speaks to us for the very first time. This was the unknown voice we had heard, and here is the proof that Artemis is dead. This is the signal that we have seen every single time that it has spoken to us. It's been this weird projection of his grave from the same source. We then went back to the anomaly to tell Nada, who was just, wow, it's weird, I don't care. And then we bought some more stuff for our spaceship all the way in the back. We then wanted to install it, but unfortunately it needed some more stuff, so we left the anomaly. We then went to a space station where we would purchase some more stuff like wiring looms and head back to our base through the portal. We then made some chromatic materials, flew around and got some copper for some more chromatic materials so that we could make 250 chromatic materials so that we could install our new cadmium drive. We needed cadmium for some reason, I'm not quite sure yet, but it told us we needed cadmium. I think we needed to make the mind arc, whatever that is. We then went to this other galaxy, which is where our signal was coming from. So we went to this other galaxy, went under here to find a living pearl. We needed a living pearl in order to create the soul engine. We went to a space station. We then bought some wiring looms, and then we went through a portal to the base once again. Upon reaching the base, we made some glass out of silicate. Very cool. We then took off in our spaceship once again towards the signal source, which turned out to be another Holo Terminus, where we spoke to Artemis once again. I activated our mind art, and Null showed up. So we spoke to Null again, and he disappeared. And then we got back in our rocket ship, and we went to the anomaly. Upon reaching the anomaly, we went and decided to put Artemis's soul in the mind arc orb, in which we would be putting in this machine so that he could live in a simulated reality universe. We then had to tell Apollo that that was where Artemis was because he was dead, and instead of letting him die peacefully, we decided to let him live on in all of virtual reality forever. We then spoke to another weird looking thing, seen cool spaceship we couldn't buy, and then went to a portal once again. This portal was going to require glyphs to be entered, so we entered all of the materials into all the glyphs, and then upon entering all the materials, it gave us the coordinates to another portal. I do believe we then went to the Holo Terminus to tell Apollo about this. We told him that we found the glyphs, and he also told us to be cautious of Null. We then spoke to Null, who spoke like Artemis and Apollo. Both were already dead the whole time, and he was already aware of it, but we cannot confirm this as of now. He then sent us to this observatory of his, which was already unlocked for some weird reason. We then went to the next location, which was a crash site location. There was this weird ball looking thing. We attempted to speak with it, but it required these decryption keys, so we had to go find cargo pods, open cargo pods, and find what was in them, which was always log encryption keys. We needed 3 of these. We got 3 of these. We read all the logs. It basically seemed like Apollo's log. We then headed to the Holo Terminus where we spoke to Null. We then ended our conversation with Null. We then headed back to the anomaly. We then went to another planet, another galaxy where we also shot at some people, landed on a freighter, claimed this as our crappy freighter, even though we shouldn't have, because now we can't get an S-Class one very easily. We then checked out our growery area on the freighter, then left the freighter, headed to another space station where our mission was, spoke to this Viking warrior-looking dude. He was the cartographer. We then went to the Viking reliquary where we had to go acquire something from it in order to prove ourselves to the Viking guy. We proved ourselves to the Viking guy. He was impressed. Let's just say that. He gave us a new location. We had to speak to another dude. This dude was Korvax. We asked Artemis if he was okay with being in a simulation, and he didn't really seem too thrilled, honestly. Then we went for a long swim to find this underwater-looking eyeball thing. We then had a really long swim back to finding a place to land our ship, because that was an all-water planet. We spoke to the cartographer who sent us here, and then we went on a search for a gek. Unfortunately, it took us a minute to actually get a gek to speak with us because the mission wasn't working right, but we did. We then went to space and spoke to Apollo, who said we have a mission, let's do it. And then we went to a mineral survey place because it was for some sort of mission thingy. We surveyed a whole bunch of things here, but I don't actually know if we got many minerals. We did also get into a sentinel fight where we went and turned in all of our missions to that dude. We then took a portal to another place to go talk to the gek guy. We then talked to the gek who told us that basically they used to enslave a race, but now they don't because they were genetically modified not to. We then spoke with Noel, who talked to us, and then we went to this distress signal echo where there was no sign of Apollo, and I'm pretty sure it's saying that Apollo is dead somehow. So, we then went to a Laylene source, which was another portal. We activated the portal. We inputted all the glyphs that we could in it. And then after inputting the glyphs, we debated life for a little bit about our decisions on our lost friend. We then were teleported to space upon entering the portal for some weird reason. We were then portaled into the Atlas area himself. I guess this was Atlas's way of saying, I can end you in a second if I wish. And then we were asked if we wanted to die, and of course we said no. And then we asked him to receive judgment upon us, in which we did. He told us all about Apollo and Artemis being dead and that we messed up, and we accepted what he said, and he didn't care. And then he said 16. And then we were portaled back. And then we had to go find our spaceship. This time, the planet was pretty friendly. Upon arrival at our spaceship, we decided to debate life some more, and we also felt like vomiting. We tried not to, but it was unavoidable, unfortunately. We then left for the Hollow Terminus. Upon reaching the Hollow Terminus, we then had to speak with it, which it had a lot of life debating again. Once again, we then went back to space, summoned the anomaly, went to the anomaly, spoke to Nada, said goodbye to Nada for some reason, I'm not sure. Then went back to space. Then kept warping, I do believe. And then a weird voice spoke to us, and then we were transmissioned coordinates for an underwater area. We then went into this thing, talked to a weird eyeball, received an oxygen machine bobber thingy-mabobber, so we installed that. Then we went to this new location, which was once again going to be 900 feet away from the nearest land, so we'd have to swim. We found an abandoned ship and the weird eyeball-looking thing underwater this time. This was our first underwater base. The only thing we had here for actually surviving underwater was the weird shelter water thingy we had, so we just put a portal down so we could get the heck off that planet, go back to our main base, upgrade our exosuit just a little bit. Then we spent probably a whole day or two customizing. I think it was only a day. It is day 34, and day 35 was the second day of playing in the customizer. We then headed to the anomaly where we did some stuff and left, and then went to a space station, and then went to another base, and then went and mined some copper. And then left in our rocket ship once again, day 35. Went to another planet, landed on the planet, went to a space station, went through a portal, went back to our water base where I do believe we were working on something. I think we put a storage container down here, mined some stuff from the ground to get some salt and such, built ourselves this weird underwater excavator thingy-mabobber, took it for a drive to a sunken structure, went into the structure, got sucked up by an eyeball, and talked to a weird eyeball, unlocked the ability to craft solar mirrors, moved stuff into our storage container and out, put some copper into the refiner, left, and collected some crystal sulfide. This is going to be needed to install our high power sonar. This is going to help us locate more things with this weird thing we have here. We then found the crashed spaceship, in which we entered it and decided to claim it so that we have another spaceship. This is 3 spaceships now, and none of them have been sold so far. We are in the thingy, and we found an eyeball, which gave us a whole bunch of underwater glass stuff, which is pretty cool, and I might come back on. Now we're talking to an underwater eyeball thingy once again. We then left that back to our weird thingy-mabobber, and then we went to another weird eyeball underground where we spoke to it, and then we hopped in our thingy and headed into the next source. Upon reaching the next source, it was another eyeball thingy, so we spoke to the eyeball thingy, and then we went back on our thingy and we went to our spaceship, and upon reaching our spaceship, we hopped in our new one, repaired what we had to get it off the ground, and then we headed for a space station. Upon reaching the space station, we spoke to some people, and then we started scrapping spaceships. We scrapped 2 spaceships right off the bat. Once, of course, we had the inventory slots freed up. And then I do believe another one. We only had 1 junker now, so we didn't know what to do. We found an S-Class, but we sold everything we had. We had almost 8 million units. This should be time for an S-Class spaceship already. We then purchased an A-Class for 4,000, sold it for 4 million, sold it for 8 million, and we were flipping rockets for money. We then went to the place and sold some more stuff. Bought a new rocket ship, sold the new rocket ship, and rinse and repeat. We did this for quite some time until we acquired ourselves an actual S-Class ship. Bought this multi-tool for no real reason. Song of the night, it's an A-Class, it's alright. We were still in the crappy ship though, because no new dealers had shown up. So we left the space station, came back to the space station, left, went to the anomaly, went to another space station, went to another space station, and then we found this beauty right here for sale. The wings of Ibetsu, our first S-Class. We didn't scrap any other ships we had and rinsed and repeated once again. Day 42, and we're hustling ships. As you can see, we're still hustling ships. We did this for days and days and days. That was most of day 43. And then, of course, as you can see here, 11 million units already. Day 43. We then left the space station. Upon leaving the space station, we received a glyph and went to an Atlas thing. He spoke to Atlas, who gave us a captured nanoid blueprint. We then left space after that. We then went to another Atlas interface. Upon reaching the Atlas interface, rinse and repeat, collected all the words, talked to the dude, left for our rocket, and headed on to the next Atlas interface. Upon reaching the next one, we spoke to him once again. He gave us another blueprint for a weird looking orb. That seems to be the pattern here. We went to this one, we spoke to people, unlocked the blueprint, and on to the next one. Day 44. Upon reaching the next one, we needed to reach milestone Dawn or above. Upon checking our milestones, we realized we were only Kepler. That means that we were 2 milestones away from reaching the proper one. We then went ahead and tried a Nexus mission just for the heck of it. Upon leaving the anomaly, it teleported us to a different universe where we found this stranded life form lost out here with this cool looking ship. We found his rare item, which turned out to be a computer first ship, gave it to him, and then left. Also, we fought some sentinels. We then went and found our starship, spoke to the guy and told him his ship was good, and we were told to head back to the anomaly, in which we did. We turned in the mission, and boom, like that, 1800 Quicksilver. Definitely be playing those on the weekends. So, this here was under a rebel star, where we went to this weird orb-looking thing, and there was some sentinels there. We killed the 4 sentinels, checked out what was there, took off in our spaceship, headed to this planet, in which we fought some more sentinels. We then took off from this planet back to space. We warped to this galaxy where our new location was. This was another Atlas interface. We spoke to the Atlas interface, finally reaching the milestone we needed, and we continued. We then began warping. 15 times was reached. We'd reached glyph 8, and we headed to the next Atlas interface. Once again, we hit a milestone cap of submit. I do believe we needed one more after this. We then made a base computer on this weird planet that looked like Girth, and then we left, and we went with the space station. We went back to a base somewhere, and then we went mining, bought another freighter, and then checked our milestones once again. Still not there. We then traveled 15,000 kilometers, headed to space. Null spoke to us about Atlas and saying that we were making a mistake, and we said, I don't care. We then went to Atlas, we spoke to him, now that our milestone was reached, and unlocked State Phasure. After that, we went to warp galaxy to galaxy to galaxy, and still no able to go. So, we spoke to some aliens, this unlocked 35 aliens, spoke to some more aliens, 40 aliens unlocked, sold some stuff, bought another spaceship, sold the spaceship. This was another few days of space hustling for units. We then spoke to a mission person. I do believe we might be doing a mission of killing some things. So we then left, headed back to the mission agent, handed in the mission, and unlocked some Gek standing. We also bought some more space stations and spaceships and sold them, and this went on for quite a few minutes. After that, we headed to this, which we checked out. This is a freighter sort of mission thing. You explore the freighter, but we didn't care about it, so we left. Day 54. Landed on another planet, scanned some more crap. Went into this weird looking thing, talked to this dude, went out this door, which required this weird orb thing we don't have yet. Went to the other side, same thing, Remembrance. We used that using the Atlas Pass. We then started warping once again. This unlocked Glyph 11. We then, upon warping here, were attacked by some bad guys. This dude talked to us, and I don't remember what happened. But journey milestone accomplished. Destroyed 10 starships. There we go. Unlocked the settlement. This is a settlement you can unlock and be the overseer of, not assign one, and they automatically build things for you in here, like towers and whatever else you choose. We then built ourselves the overlayer seer's thingy by gathering resources, and then we used the manager for the overseer. We then spoke to this visitor guy, warped to another galaxy, and we were off. This time we had warped 20 times. We continued to warp and warp and warp until we warped 25 times. We are now on Glyph 12. We slowly began to realize that warping was giving us glyphs, so we warped, and we warped, and we warped, and warped. And upon this one, we reached Glyph 15 out of 16. One more warp, and we are at Glyph 16 out of 16. This would allow us to complete the primary main story. So, we went through here and activated these, realizing we were missing copper. So we went around and we found some copper, and the next day we came back and we finished off the portal. We then activated the portal, entered the portal once again. We're teleported to this weird planet with all of these bubbles going around. After a while, this 16-second counter timer went down, and by the time it hit 1, we were teleported to Atlas, who spoke to us. Upon speaking to us, he told us that we were going to create a new galaxy. So, we reset the simulation as a Halcyon galaxy. So, I do believe the entire simulation has been reset, and we started out in the Halcyon galaxy. So, as you can see, it's now telling us to install Remembrance. So, we unlocked some things, did some things, and also our spaceship was completely trashed. We then decided to just hop in one of the other S-Class spaceships we had already acquired, spoke to Nada at the Anomaly. This is day 58. We were then told to recover an Atlas seed once again, so we went to another Atlas thing for no reason, really. It just turns out that's just something you can do after you beat the game, and then we got warp cells. So, we used the warp cell on the hyperdrive. We still have not completely finished this. We do need to talk to the Atlas stations for the Atlas story. So we are working on milestones still, and there we go. Viking in 2, then we warped to another base, went to the Atlas station, did the word collection, then we went back to the Under a Rebel Star mission, where we spoke to the ball. Once again, we're attacked by Sentinels, this time defeating them all and continuing on to the next step of the mission. Upon doing that, we also were able to claim this ugly looking ship, and then we landed in way too many ships before finally getting the proper ship. We then took off in our new ship that we had built. It's day 60 now. We got into a pirate fight. We challenged the caller, who said ha ha, and then we went to this new location. Upon reaching it, we found this beetle looking thing, and we spoke to this eyeball looking thing. We then left for space, went to another galaxy. Upon reaching the galaxy, we were told about an outlaw station. We went to the outlaw station. It turns out this is a criminal galaxy, and they have overthrown the government here, basically. So, we spoke to some people here, bought some illegal goods, and then we spoke to the mission guy, who had options of things like raid capital ships or seize goods from traders. The eyeball-looking thing told us that the Voice of Freedom will not permit disrupt of the traffic records. Basically, meaning that we need to have a passport in order to keep the Eye of Freedom from getting mad at us for doing criminal things. So, yeah, basically, fake passport. We used it on the eyeball. Everything was good. We left for the anomaly. Told Polo that we needed an Atlas coordinates because we could not find the station anymore. Went to the next Atlas interface. Upon reaching the next Atlas interface, we spoke to the Atlas and we received the Novo reclaimment. We then collected some more words, begun warping. We needed 4 more milestones. We were 1 warp off. We then went to the Atlas and he told us we were good, so we must have finished the milestone. Day 62, we went to another criminal galaxy. We spoke to some more people. This was accidental, but we did need to speak to more aliens, and we needed to visit 10 more galaxies at least of this point. We then started warping, so we warped, and then we went to a space station, spoke to some more aliens because we needed to unlock 70 aliens met. That was the next milestone to reach. We then went to the next Atlas interface, where we spoke with the Atlas, who gave us another orb once again. We then warped and warped, and finally we had reached the milestone of, I do believe, 60 or 70 planets reached. We then warped and we found this place that was Earth. This is where Earth was. That's what we named it. We then took off into space, and day 63 through 67 we did a lot. Day 68 through 74 we went to the Atlas interface and we needed the Heart of the Sun. Day 68 through 74 was also spent creating platinum. We needed platinum, so we gathered some platinum. We then mined some copper. We then made all of these weird orb lifting things. This took all the way to day 74. Upon having this weird looking orb, we activated all of the Atlas seeds. We then spoke to the Atlas, who told us about creating universes. So we birthed a new star. Upon birthing a new star, there was nothing, and then there was everything. I see a star blaze to life within the void. For a moment I am as the Atlas is. The fabric of time and space stands revealed to me. Black holes swarming. So after this, it gave us the star seed, in which we crafted and installed for some weird reason. It also required gold, so we shot some asteroids. Day 75 and 6 was pretty much gathering stuff. We went through a black hole on day 76, I do believe it was. We then went to another planet, went to a minor settlement and bought some stuff there. We also spoke to the trade guy and bought some stuff there. We went to the anomaly and bought some stuff there, as well as some crafting stuff for settlement building. We then went back to space, where we would begin building our new base. Day 77 through 100 was mainly spent doing base buildings, as well as this right here. What this is going to a galaxy where there is a 3-star galaxy, collecting as many as you can of these coordinates for things like minor settlements and such, checking them to see what sort of multi-tools they have and unlocking them. This was how we obtained our S-class multi-tool. This also was a good way of getting salvage data for building, and yeah, most of our time, 77 through 100, was spent on our base because we built a very large base. The rest of it was spent on unlocking this stupid multi-tool. We must have used 100 of those coordinate thingies before finally even getting it. So now we have completed the whole game. That is day 100, and here is how our inventories looked. We're also going to go ahead and do a quick tour of the base and all of the spaceships we had obtained during our 100 days. Here are all the spaceships that we had obtained and still had held on to. Everything except for one single space rocket there is an S-class spaceship. We then went into our base. This is our base, as you can see here. Oxygen harvester. As you can see here, this is our teleporter in the center. We got a save beacon. We got these plants hung up on the wall. Teleporter in center. I just thought that was cool, making it the center hub. And then this room over here is our refinery room. We have a large refinery in the center. We then have a base computer. We also have a refiner. We also have our construction unit, and we also have the base computer, of course. Then we go over to the next room. This is going to be the storage / weapon-ish thing. I'm not done with this. I do want to work on this some more. I am working on this some more. This is my storage container. This is what we had in it. We had a lot of stuff. we were pretty far into the game. We had to beat the entire game through this playthrough. On to the next room. This was the least worked on area, was down here. This is the gun area, last thing we built. We also have this room over here, which is a hydroponics room, where we want to grow what is called nip bud. It is also considered to be like a weed. So yeah, that is what we are wanting to grow now. As you can see, nip bud, which we need to find some buds for. The only way to find nip bud is by going to a criminal galaxy and going to things like minor settlements and the galactic stations and hoping they're selling nip bud or completing Nexus missions. And I think there's a couple other missions you can do. But anyway, up here is going to be the scientist wings area. We didn't really do much building here besides his terminal, and then we left him there. We'll decorate it eventually. This is the overseer's terminal area and his main room. He does have a large glass bay window here, but I do believe this is about it for the video. This was a legitimate 100 days of video. Unlike most videos where they're really not doing 100 days, this was an actual 25 hours in the game recorded. Now, I did run into an issue. My save only says I've completed like 21 and a half hours of the game or something, and that's not truly an official 100 days video. So I figured what we do is we do 100 days plus as the next video. But I do believe that is all for now. Go ahead and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and keep it beast mode. I am out. See ya.